Okay, welcome back to another episode of Irish Red Devils. Manchester United 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2. That is two back-to-back draws of 2-2. That's a lot of twos. But a 5-game unbeaten run for Man United heading into this international break. So tonight, I'm joined as always by my co-hosts, Killian the Football Genius and Gags, Madman, Martial. I call him Madman because he's having a fit here tonight about how slow it's taken us to get this thing up and running. Anyway, so before we dive into that question and find out if these guys are half full or half empty Manchester United fans, just to let you know what's happening here today. Joining us later on the show is going to be the Spurs fans from last week, Scott and Harry. Harry's actually was at the game. So on the socials, he was actually at the game, so it'll be really interesting to get his thoughts. I know he met Peter Crouch at the game as well, and he was interviewing fans outside. So before we kick off, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get the 50 subscribers on this. Make a couple of comments. No one's commenting. I know you are very quiet. Get active. Get into it. Give us a like. Give us a share. Give us a comment. And guys, to kick us off, I have a very simple question to where you're going into this international break. Manchester United are progressing under Reuben Amorim. Yes or no, Gags?
Yeah, we are. We're definitely progressing.
No, yes or no?
Yeah,
just
yeah,
yes or no.
we are.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Killian, same question to you.
Tough question.
Yes or no? So
I'd be leaning towards maybe at this stage, yes.
Okay, great. I wanted to start off with a bit of positivity because what has been really interesting actually is I definitely a glass half full. But what I've been really surprised about is listening to all the fan channels over the last couple of days. We're recording this Monday night. Obviously, we played Spurs on Saturday afternoon, and I've been really surprised by how many United fans are just not happy. But I want to give, I know Gags is sitting here, he's shaking beside me. I know he's itching ready to go. So let's kick off, Gags. Let's start with you. Reuben Amorim, manager of the month last month, as Mbeumo was player of the month. Congratulations to them. But back to this game. I know you wanted to talk about the subs in this game. What about the lineup? Amorim had made unchanged team for 2 games going into it. Made 3 changes going into this game. What was your initial thoughts on the lineup? And then give it your take on the actual game itself.
Yeah, initial thoughts. I wasn't unhappy with the lineup. I still thought we're away from home, so I wasn't surprised. Wasn't surprised he dropped Sesco, went back a wee bit like how we did against Liverpool, with Cunha sort of up front and Mbeumo. Now, in this game, actually, the big change was Ahmad was playing in a more offensive position. But like overall, I was kind of happy enough with the lineup. Kind of figured, I wasn't overly confident that we were going to win. But as the game went on, as you know, well, I didn't watch the review, but watched the review, Killian. Like, it was a wee bit like Force. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with the level of intensity from the team. And just like Force, we were 1-0 up at half time. And I actually kind of thought, yeah, it's great to be 1-0 up. I don't really feel we particularly deserve it. But the one thing I'll say about Spurs is Spurs were terrible. Spurs were showing nothing. And that's the way they were for most of the game. Well, when I said most of the game, they had chances in the second half. Lemans did well. He had a couple of good saves. But our intensity, or as a team, right through that game, and especially for the second game in a row in the second half, it looked as if we were like, we're 1-0 up. We're just going to hang on and try to win 1-0. And you can't do that in the Premier League because sooner or later, something's going to happen.
Well, I know you wanted to talk about subs. So
yeah,
the subs all came. I'm just looking here at the information. So the subs have it. Let me see where the substitution started. So 59th minute. First substitution that Amorim made was Sesco came on to replace Mazraoui, and then it wasn't to the 72nd minute that was a double substitution. So
we made 3. We made
sorry, there was 3 subs. So yeah, the first Sesco came on 59th, 72nd. Ugarte replaced Casemiro. Lenny Euro replaced Harry Maguire, and then Mount 3 replaced Cunha.
Yeah.
I think that was it, wasn't it? Oh no, in the 80th minute,
Yeah, well,
then
yeah.
Dallo
It was
replaced
the 84th, I think.
Dorgu.
Was it the 84th, I
Well,
think?
my stats tell me it's 80, but I'm not going to
I
argue
think
with
so,
you.
yeah.
But anyway,
84 was the Spurs goal. So
Oh, no, so it was 80 then, and
Mm.
84 was Spurs goal, and
yeah.
84 was... Yeah, the subs... Look, we know he's becoming a bit of a tinkerman. We know he likes to make subs. I was kind of surprised when he made 3 subs all at once with 20 minutes left plus injury time. I kind of felt at that stage we weren't playing well, and I can understand definitely should have made subs. I don't know about making 3 subs all at once, but the thing that really, really got me, what really got me was the sub, Dallo being brought on for Dorgu. At the time, I was like, what are you doing? I actually thought Dorgu was playing all right. Dorgu, look, we know if there's people don't like him, but I actually thought he was doing all right. I didn't think they were particularly targeting him, and I'm not a big fan of Dallo at the moment anyway. And I suddenly, at the time, I was like, okay, we've put him on. That's our last sub. That was an 80th minute, so you have 10 minutes plus injury time, and we know it's going to be 6 or 7 minutes. And if something happens, and guess what, it did, and that led us to be playing for the last. Was it 80? What minute? Sesco was it 86th minute? I think he went off.
Yeah.
So we had the
yeah.
last 11 or 12 minutes of that game down to 10 men, and that's on Reuben.
Yeah, well, like I knew you were going to bring this up about Dorgu because I know I was messaging in our WhatsApp group that I thought it was a good substitution. I said that I thought Dorgu had a poor game, and you straight away came back to me and said, no, you're wrong. And I knew this was something we were going to come up tonight, and I was like, I need to look and see what was it that Dorgu was doing. And I looked up some stats, and I'll put this up on the screen, but if you can see there, this is obviously what I was seeing. Dorgu had the worst pass accuracy of the whole team, 55%. The only person worse accuracy, he's down there at 15, was Lamens. So 16 out of 29 passes went astray. That must be what I was seeing. I just felt that I just didn't. Now, in fairness to him, I was looking there to see, well, how did he do the previous game? Because the previous game against Forest, he had started and Delo came on, and in the previous game it was much higher. He was up at 86%. So he was obviously having a bad game in that sense. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm right and you're wrong, although I would kind of argue that I am. But I was seeing something. Killian, what were your thoughts there on Dorgu or on any of the other subs, really?
Well, I mean, sort of looking back at it now, after a few days have gone, I suppose when you look at the nature of the subs, I guess there's a bit of a good nature, positive nature around them. Like, I mean, the first sub you take, for example, you see Mazraoui coming up for Sesco. That means Sesco moves up to the front 3. Ahmad then is the attacking wing back instead of Mazraoui, who was more of a defensive wing back. So that's like an attacking sub there, definitely, and that's a positive sub there as well. However, it just didn't really work out in the pitch. But I suppose then apart from that, I mean, Maguire coming off, I think just back from injury, and so that was smart enough too.
Was he taken off because he was injured, or was it just?
It's probably just precaution.
No, he
I
was
would say.
injured. He
Oh yeah, that's right.
felt he was
That's
injured. He was
right.
hobbling about the place.
That's right. Yeah, because someone passed him the ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
But I
should-
thought
Like an idiot.
he got injured about 10, 15 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Remember, he stretched.
Yeah.
He had a clearance that
Josh
it ended
Ball.
up being offside anyway.
Mhm.
But I noticed that at the time, so he did well at the
Yeah,
last.
I was wrong there. So he came off, obviously, bit of a knock there. So again, that's a decent enough sub. And then Ugarte, I mean, you can have your opinions on Ugarte coming on for Casemiro, but at the end of the day, like, Ugarte is younger than Casemiro. He's going to give you legs in the midfield, and so I can see the nature behind that one too. And then Mount similarly coming on for Cunha, who was finding it a bit difficult to get into the game again on Saturday, whereas Mount obviously can be influential when he's playing. He's got loads of energy about him too. And then of course Dorgu wasn't having his best game, and Dallo is a bit more of an experienced player, so you can get the nature of them, but still, in my opinion, they're a bit ineffective. Like, I mean, Dallo, for example, coming on for Dorgu. I mean, I actually thought Dorgu, when he did come off, he was actually getting better. I thought he played his best 10, 15, 20 minutes of the match before he came off as well. And I suppose when you look at Benjamin Sesco having to come off injured then a couple of minutes later, and the fact we've used up all 5 subs, and have to finish the game with 10 men there, obviously, that's sort of when you think was that Dorgu sub necessary? Was the Garda sub necessary? Was the Mount sub necessary? You just sort of start thinking about that. So I think maybe, Amorim, we've seen against Forest the week previous, he only made 3 subs the entire match. That was probably too little. He probably did too much there against Spurs. So yeah, I mean, he's got the good nature about them, but I think it's the inefficiencies of the amount he's making and the players he's bringing in too, because those players who do come in, like, very little time, if any time really, do we see them actually make a proper impact in the match.
What
Positively.
what I would say, look, my concern at the moment is our second half. Second half we just seem to be dipping.
I've seen a stat about that.
I saw a stat too. Is it the same one?
It could be if Premier League matches were only kind of the first half, United would be top of the table.
Yeah.
If it was only second half, we'd be bottom of the table.
Yeah, well, 18th I heard. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was the difference.
Yeah.
So basically, first half performance we're top. Second half of performance, we're in the relegation zone.
Well, listen, we started a wee bit late here tonight, so can we park that there, because it's now I want to bring in the 2 Spurs guys, and then we'll come back to this.
Sure.
All right. So we're back here now. Following last week, we had Scott and Harry on to talk about the upcoming game at Spurs. I see the 2 boys are repping their jerseys here tonight. A couple of old school jerseys there as well. Yeah, Harry, that's an old one.
It is, yeah, especially for me as well. I'm not going to lie, as a kid, way before my time, but I still really like it.
Fair play, fair play. So let's get straight into it. Are you happy with the result there? Scott, do you want to start with you?
Okay, that link looks as if it's buffering.
Oh, Scott's frozen. He's frozen on us here. Okay, so Harry, we'll move to you then. I'm sure Scott will come back.
Yeah, no worries at all. For me, I think I'm happy, considering, like, I was inside the stadium myself, and at half time I'm thinking, we were poor, and if you'd asked me at the time, would I have taken a draw at half time? Absolutely would have. So that's what I'm trying to tell myself. But at the same time, to be in the position where you, like, this close away from a smash and grab victory that we wouldn't have deserved, of course it's frustrating. And Tottenham, one thing we've done well this season under Thomas Frank is seeing games out and not conceding. And we got in that position where it's our bread and butter, it's what we're good at, and I thought we could be home and dry. I knew United wouldn't give up, they'd fight, and that proved. But I just thought Reuben Amorim, in my opinion, got the subs wrong. Frank got his subs right, and I just felt like this is going to end 2-1. But we switched up, in my opinion, from the corner. Delete is free. I mean, not being funny, but I'd have a problem if you're not going to mark, any player. But if you're going to mark someone, it's got to be Delete. I mean, how tall is this guy? Centre back. He's made a career out of scoring headed goals that isn't spoken about enough. And Vicario, for me, I mean, what's he doing? He needs to command his box. He's behind the line. So, even if that shot's got no power on it, it goes in because he's behind the line. That's the problem. So for Tottenham, we shouldn't have found ourselves in that situation. But you know me, I'm honest, and we wouldn't have deserved that win. A draw, in my opinion, is probably a fairer reflection. So happy considering the way we played at times in that first half.
I think my thoughts were, I thought Spurs were extremely poor first half. A good bit of the second half, I was disappointed at United. I thought we were just sitting back. There was no killer instinct to go. A second goal finishes that game. I don't even think we had a shot on target in the second half until Delete scored. And to be honest, I actually said I could see the equaliser coming. And when you got the equaliser, I think I said to Killian, we're going to lose it. We're going to lose it. We're going to lose this game, because the momentum was all with Spurs. And to some respect, you're saying you probably wouldn't have deserved to win. You probably would have, because United had been so poor in that second half. And don't forget, Lemans made 2 great saves, as well as you guys scoring 2 goals. So despite the fact that I think it's the Spurs team, and I know you have a lot of injuries. I was looking at your injury list as well. There's a lot to come back for you. But the Spurs team themselves weren't great. But at the end of the day, United let these back into it. So I'm happy enough with the draw, but I was still kind of unhappy as well. I think we're very similar.
Killian, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed too, obviously. I mean, after the unconvincing and disappointing 2-2 draw by the Forest, I sort of hoped we could see a better performance overall. And I mean, the result obviously was going to come first, and it was looking like near the end too we were somehow going to get away with 3 points, but unfortunately that wasn't the case there, and then we're actually lucky enough to get a point out of that one. But I mean, I suppose the big disappointment once again was the performance overall. I mean, like Gags just said there, just didn't look good enough here, had no killer instinct going forward at all, and the second half too was abysmal from us. I thought, again, it was similar enough to Forest, like, because we were 1-0 up going into half time. I thought that would get us back into the game. And I thought, that would drive us on. Maybe we could see a second goal come from that. We could get loads of momentum behind us. However, for the second week in a row, that was not the case here in this one. And again, like, it's just per at the back line too. I suppose both Spurs goals too were just, lucky enough, I guess you could say, because there were two sort of deflections as well. But I mean, there was coming, like, we seen Brandon Johnson get an offside goal too. You could tell Spurs were the team who were threatening in the second half. So even though it was two goals which were helped on by sort of deflections, it still was coming, like. So again, just all over the pitch for United, of course. Subs by Amorim weren't good enough, tackles by Amorim weren't good enough here in this one either. I wasn't a big fan of Benjamin Sesco when he came on either. I thought his performance overall when he did come on was pretty poor. It's definitely not what you want from your centre forward either. And of course, it could have been different actually. I mean, it would have been interesting to see if we did have an extra sub to use when Benjamin Sesco came off injured. But I mean, again, as you said, Harry, 2-2 draw probably is a fair enough result there. Both teams are sort of equal on the day. I didn't think either side was good enough to get a win there in that one. I know you said, Gags, that you thought Spurs were good enough to win that one because of how poor United were. In my opinion, Spurs weren't that much better than United overall. I still think Spurs are poor enough. They still also lacked a bit of killer instinct for the majority of the match too, and it was just in the last 10 minutes, last 10-15 minutes when they really started to go for the jugular, got their 2 goals too. So yeah, I mean, overall, 2 per teams, a 2-2 draw. At least we got some goals from it. A fair enough result there. And yeah, I suppose point of pace. Both sides be happy enough for that. After how the game sort of went.
Totally agree.
And I just add to it, I thought it was 2 really poor teams playing, playing for second place in the Premier League. I thought they were bang average, both teams. Okay, Scott is back here. Scott, yes, so we were having a quick rundown on the game. Basically, the common thoughts there were, well, I kind of said I thought there were 2 mediocre teams playing out. I think the common denominator was nobody was happy with the result. Both felt that we should have been better. United should have been better. Spurs should have been better. And I think we've all kind of said that we took the point at the end of the day, but nobody was really celebrating. What do you think, Scott?
No, the only thing I can say about that game really is it was slightly better than the UEFA Cup final. There wasn't
True.
much. There wasn't much better in the game really. Manchester United didn't have the 2 shots on target for the whole game, and both of them, we would, from a Spurs point of view, we would be saying we created them instances. And then again in the first half, Spurs never had a shot at goal, which is just not acceptable.
You talked about that when you were talking last week about how you hadn't got a shot on goal in the second half against Chelsea. What was your shots on goal in the second half against United? If you didn't get a shot on goal in the first half?
4.
4 in the second half?
No shots on goal in the first half, but we had 4 in the second half.
Were you one of the Spurs fans that was cheering or booing? Sorry, not cheering. There was no one cheering. Booing the substitutions, or did you think you'd made? Because it was interesting whenever the Spurs subs came on, and I could definitely feel
There's players that I don't think should have been left on the pitch that were left on the pitch, but that's the manager's decision. We just have to accept it. I mean, they're all trying their best to get the result. Whether they're good enough to play for Tottenham is a different argument, and I'm sure me and Harry could talk all night on that one.
Absolutely.
The crowd didn't like Simmons coming off.
No.
At that stage it was 1-0.
I can understand that, because then at the time Xavi came off, we were 1-0 down still.
Yeah.
So you're taking probably the most creative player we have on the pitch. You're taking him off, and then you're bringing on other players, and you can understand why the crowd are frustrated with that. But the crowd also need to be a bit patient, a bit more patient. And I definitely do think our crowd is a bit too quick to react to anything negative.
reacting to those changes?
Where I was, it was okay, but in the south stand there was a lot of the main big stand. There's 17,500 Spurs fans in. They were not happy. There was a lot of boos, and I wasn't one of the ones booing, but and I didn't understand it too much. I understood it a little bit. I was like, "Oh, this will be interesting to see the reaction." When I saw that Tell was coming on, I saw that Simmons was coming off, and then knowing that it wasn't Richarlison, I thought, "Oh, this." I said to my dad, "This will be interesting." I didn't expect it to be anything like that. I thought it would be a few murmurs, it'd be like a boo or what. I thought it'd be a tiny bit like, as you say, someone next to you. What's he doing? What's he thinking? But this was, quite bad. It reminded me of Nuno, when he was at the end of his short tenure at Spurs, where he made a couple of changes that annoyed at the time Spurs fans. But I look at it now and go, well, firstly, Frank got his substitutions spot on. I don't want to ruin it too much in case of conversation you do get into. But the point is, Tell's come on and he scores a goal. So that just shows that Frank knows more than us. But at the time, I didn't have too much of a problem with it. I agree with Scott that in terms of, for example, Richarlison would have been the player. I think he's hinted at there that I would have probably bought off. But at the same time, he goes on and scores, we should find out a little bit later, a goal. So that's, again, and we've seen it in several instances of different managers where they prove that, they know more than us fans. I agree with Scott that we have to be patient. And I didn't have too much of a problem with it at the time because although I think the frustration is that Simmons was so good in that first half, but he wasn't effective in that second half. And as a manager, however good of a creative player you are, you've just got to make a decision that's best for the team. Simmons was non-existent, unfortunately, in the second half. He didn't have the beating of the likes of Casemiro. He had him in his back pocket, if we're honest with you. Something changed at half-time. Whether Simmons wasn't as effective because it was on him, I don't know whether it was a tactical change or just a coincidence from United, but we couldn't get him in the game. So change had to happen. And Tell is a dynamic player, hasn't been great for us with dynamic. And Odebear, I think we got balance completely wrong on that left-hand side, which is something that Frank didn't waste any time in that second half to rectify and made at least 2 or 3 changes on that side. It tells you what you need to know. But yeah, I was a bit like, oh, okay, it's not what I would have done. But yeah, not one of those booing. I just think it doesn't help the team.
The substitutions that the manager makes, for obvious reasons, he can see more than we can see. His coaching staff can see more than we can see. So we have to be, as a fan group, we have to be a little bit more patient and believe that the manager is doing the best job. And in this instance, the manager was proved right and 62,000 fans were proved wrong. So I think there's a section of that support that should really be on social media apologising to the manager, saying we got that one wrong. Because you shouldn't be, there was no reason to be booing as such. I didn't feel anyway.
I don't think we generally don't see apologies online, even if
no, not a chance.
Like you said, even if they're wrong. Yeah,
because they're happy hiding behind their keyboard warrior status. They don't want to come on and say, "Yeah, I booed and I got that one wrong. Sorry, boss." None of them are going to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe the next time they should think about the booing before they actually do it and go, you know what, I'm going to give this 10, 15 minutes. And then see what happens.
It's a terrible thing. Yeah, it's a terrible thing for fans to be booing their team. We were at Man United's friendly in Dublin beginning of last season, and it was mostly they had a game the very next day at Old Trafford.
It was the day before or something.
Or the day before. So it was a lot of the kind of more younger players. But during the first or second half, Harry Maguire came on as a sub. And now this is in Ireland where they're fanatical Man United fans. A good 30 to 40% of the crowd booed Harry Maguire coming on.
That, yeah.
It was completely embarrassing, and there's no place for it.
We also had Johnny Evans come on at the same time and the entire stadium cheered him.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Play a good game of football. How does that help your player play a good game of football?
Exactly.
No, I was just going to something that you said last week kept ringing in my head throughout the game when you talked about Richarlison and saying that he would look good in the United top, and that kept ringing through my head throughout the game. And his celebration. What did you make of his celebration?
Too extreme for just scoring 1 goal in 5 games. I could understand if it was a World Cup, we'd just won, but you've scored the 91st minute goal against an average Manchester United team from an average Tottenham team, and you're going around celebrating like you've just won the World Cup. Get a grip of yourself. Seriously.
I seen a stat. I seen a stat there. Richarlison is the first player in Premier League history to get booked for excessively celebrating a goal just for the other team to score right after.
Yeah,
twice. He's
done that twice.
I think Captain Romero needs to have another word with him in a quiet corner somewhere. That's what I would like to see
Yeah.
there. Captain Romero having a quiet word again with him. He could put his Everton shirt
Yeah.
back on if he wants for that one also.
I thought Odegaard scored the goal to start with, and I got, oh great, and then the stadium announced with Richarlison. I went, well, we're going blind or something. I had to see it back. I went, oh, do you know what? Okay, fair enough. But it's one of those. The direction didn't really change. You know, don't get me wrong, credit to Richarlison, but it didn't really change. But it'd be a cool conversation about him taking his shirt off. I think he's got puts it across in a very funny way, and he makes a good points. And I've got to the point now with Richarlison where I go, I like you, but I'm sorry, you know, you have to be harsh to get to the next level. So I think that moves you on, all due respect. However, you know, I'm not the fun police. Unfortunately, I don't have a problem with him doing that if the team and himself can go and back it up. Where I will share Scott's concern, I don't have a problem with him doing that, but at the same time, you know, it's yellow cards that you've got to be mindful of, but also the reality is Richarlison either up here, he's down here, he's just constant hot, cold, and that's the thing, you know, you need to back it up on the football pitch. It's, by all means, enjoy this moment. You know, he gets a fair share of criticism, sometimes too much from the fan base, and I think we just see from Richarlison, he's an emotional player, you know that, and you're not even Tottenham fans. He plays with his heart on his sleeve, as some would say. It's all about emotions. I think that's what we see, which is fine, but there seems to be a curse, as you said, like at Anfield as well. We get that. And I don't agree with doing it at Anfield, if it makes sense, because you're just going to encourage the crowd, especially because you played for Everton. I just think it got to the point they encouraged the crowd, because Liverpool fans were a bit bitter after that, and they got involved in the game and pushed their team forward. That's where it didn't work for Richarlison. I don't think I think it's fine in this game, but at the same time, Richarlison will be going, look, my defence let me down, but you know, we need to have a long look, you know, look at ourselves, how we conceded that second goal, because you know, De Ligt was given the freedom of the stadium. That's just so wrong.
Yeah, well, what I don't understand there is why either Danzo or Van de Ven didn't turn around and go, where's the threat? The threat is going to come from the biggest centre back on the pitch.
Yeah.
For
But
them.
Johnson was marking him.
One of them has to stand up and go, I'm taking him. Throw
No,
somebody else into the mix somewhere else. But, I mean, it seemed to be Brennan Johnson was marking De Ligt.
It's crazy.
I mean, seriously, my granny could beat Brennan Johnson in the air, and she's 95. That's not his strong point, is heading the ball defensively. That's not his strong point.
No.
Did the goalie going up, do you think, cause any confusion? Because you know, whenever a goalie goes up, it always causes confusion in teams. You know,
I suppose suddenly they're like, who's picking the keeper up? Because the keeper's a big guy too, so maybe. But I don't think anybody was picking up Lemans either.
Good shout.
Yeah, I think it caused a bit of confusion, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a really good shout, actually. I think it could have actually been true.
It could do, but then you can talk about our goalkeeper, who, when he's playing well, he's a decent goalkeeper. But there's parts of him goalkeeping that is never going to change, because he's 27-year-old now. He learned how to be this type of goalkeeper. He's a very good shot stopper. We know he's not as confident with the ball at his feet, and we know he's not as confident coming out and taking crosses. And that's what our defence has to marshal, the fact that, right, we know his weaknesses, so we can try and eliminate some of them for him. That's the way I see Vicario. He's not the worst keeper in the world. He's a decent keeper, but I think if you want to go higher in the league, you may have to relook at that situation. And is there somebody better? I mean, take Man City, for example. They have Ederson in the goal for 4 years. And then Donnarumma comes along. Oh, yeah, we'll buy Donnarumma and we'll let him go. That's just simple. Better than your team.
And that's after they went and got James Trafford. So they got James Trafford, and we were like, okay, you're the future. And then Donnarumma became available, and they were like, we'll take him. You know, so...
Yeah.
And Trafford's now there. You know, Trafford's a decent keeper, but Donnarumma is just world class.
It's different standards. Different standards. I think we've got a goalkeeper that's probably more often than not 7 out of 10, I would say. When he has his good games, he's a 9 out of 10. And when he has his poor games, he's a 5 out of 10. I just feel that it's a position where it could possibly be looked at. It's not critical just now, because we're not in the position as a team to go chasing titles. But if you want to take that next step, or you want to be consistently in the top 4, then you have to go and get a top 4 goalkeeper. And he's not a top 4 goalkeeper.
Yeah. Well, you've had a good win since we last spoke as well in midweek. And the question I asked the guys at the start of the show tonight was it was a yes or no question, deliberately, just to try to get people to see where they're at. But I was asking, are Manchester United improving under Reuben Amorim at this stage? And we all have said yes. But are Spurs improving under Frank? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Harry? Oh, Scott's got in there. I like the confidence in him.
Absolutely.
Harry,
love that.
Yes.
Scott said yes. What do you think?
Yeah, absolute yes for me. I could spend hours waffling why, but I'd say yes.
Yeah. I think that's interesting because there is, there's so many. I know there's obviously so many similarities, like we said last week, between the two teams. But, next game, who do you have after the international?
2 tasty games coming
Arsenal.
up. Arsenal away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, is it Arsenal away?
Yeah.
And PSG.
Yeah,
Both away.
away,
Both
yeah.
away.
Away?
I know.
They're both away.
I've gone hide.
Oh, I'd love to
Great.
see us play PSG again.
Yeah.
Just those big nights in the Champions League.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, enjoy it.
Mm.
Enjoy the
I'll
Champions
try.
League
I
nights.
never worry about Arsenal. It's like an elephant up a tree. Eventually, it's got to come down.
Well, don't
What did you
City
think?
play because they were the last game, aren't we, of that weekend? 'Cause it's Sunday 4:30, so it worked out that the gap could be somehow reduced by a point by the time we play. So a little bit of pressure maybe going on Arsenal because they're being at home. Their record at the
Yeah.
Emirates against Tottenham, so we could start something here. Just a thought. I'd very much doubt it, but just to think about that.
Could happen.
Guys,
Yeah, made
anything
in Woolwich,
else?
bottled in North London. That should be Arsenal's motto.
Yes.
What did you think of the Sunderland's moving? Did you see the Sunderland team moving the scoreboards in
Oh, yeah.
to take away the long throw of Arsenal at the weekend? Did you see that, Scott?
I love that.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, anything that gives you a little bit of an advantage in the game is, as long as it's within the rules, then it's perfectly fine. Yeah, do it. Do it. It stops
Yeah.
them from having that attacking point where they can get the flick on. It's a lot harder to throw the ball when you've only got a 2-step run than a 4-step run.
Yeah, I thought there was something strange though about Sunderland moving the signs to take away Arsenal's long throw. I was like, surely that should be the other way around. You know what I mean? Arsenal become a long
traditionally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Arsenal becoming a long ball team, a long throw team. Well, listen, guys. Really appreciate you coming on last week and coming on again tonight. When do we play Spurs next?
Need to look that up there, but I don't
Good
think it's too
question.
late in the season. It's some
February,
stage,
March,
obviously next
something
year.
like that.
Yeah,
Mm.
There must be
that
around
time.
Makes
February,
sense.
March time.
Well, predictions for that game. Are Spurs going to be higher or lower in
God.
the table by the time that comes around? 7th of February is the next game. What is 5th at the moment? Or
I would think personally that Manchester United would be higher because they only have one game a week to play. So therefore, they've got a full week's training every week and they're at full strength every week. Whereas we still have to deal with the European games in between that and trying to get players back to some form of fitness. So I would imagine that Man United should be slightly ahead of us by that stage. Not by much, but slightly ahead.
Sup-
Just the fact
Surprisingly,
that their manager
sorry, go on.
has the time to train.
Yeah. Did you hear Delit after the game? He said that the United team were tired in the second half. So that kind of made quite a lot of us quite angry because like we're playing one game a week and we're tired. Yet we're more tired than Spurs who are playing like 3 games in a week. So
Yeah, that's
a bit
tough to
strange.
take. When
Yeah.
you hear that as a supporter, that's tough to take because you wonder how you're so tired. Are you being overtrained then? Is this the problem?
That's it.
You,
Do you know, talk to you guys tonight has made me realise there was nothing really happening in the game. We have no.
Yeah.
There's actually been nothing that we can kind of even argue about. Everybody's kind of.
No, I was thinking that during the match
the
too.
only
Like, you know,
the
30,
incident I
30
the
minutes
incident
in.
I didn't see, and maybe Harry saw it, was the collision with Moani and Maguire, where he had a broken jaw. I didn't see that incident. Did you see that, Harry, at all?
Who
No.
was Joe?
No, I didn't. I haven't seen it back, if I'm honest with you. But they said Moani could be out for 6 to 12. Well, now he was 6 to 8. But now said 6 to 12 if he needs surgery, but it might be 6 to 8, which isn't great.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
I thought Moani came off as a tactical change for Audibur, but
So did we at
apparently
the
not,
time,
right?
but
No,
then we found out after the game it wasn't.
Yeah, when he
Strange
came
one.
There
off
we go.
at
Well,
half time,
hopefully
we were thinking in the pub watching it, going, it must have been an injury that he's come off with, but nobody noticed any significant injury. So it was very confusing as to why he was coming off. Obviously, he had to have been injured to come off, but we didn't realise that he came off with a broken jaw or a fractured jaw.
Well, yeah. Well, hopefully the next time we play, there's a bit of argy-bargy and a bit of trouble and maybe a bit of crowd trouble or something. I don't know. It's all a bit too
controversial.
It's a bit controversial in fairness,
nice.
but it's a bit too vanilla. Like, you know, I mean, two average teams. But I still can't understand how those two average teams were, if they had won, were going to be second in the Premier League. I don't know what that says about the Premier League.
It's close no matter what. You know, we'll take a point
It's-
each because we're still only a few points behind
strange
top two.
comparison between the two teams, I think, at the moment, whereas predominantly you would mainly have the Spurs defensive unit and you'd have the Man United attacking unit. That's the way I look at these two teams at the moment. What do you think of that?
Mm-hmm.
I think Sesco had a great chance, and
Yeah.
he's just got no confidence. I mean, he should have hit it first time on his left peg. He allowed Van de Ven to get in. It was a good tackle, but it's just the man has no confidence. I think that's
Yeah.
what was the score? That stage 1-1.
It was.
I think was it 1-0?
I think it was 1-0 still.
Really? Was it?
Yeah. Those chances for
Great
Sheffield came
chance,
in.
like,
It was
you
1-0.
know. But Sesco, like that you've seen from the Bundesliga, just takes that in his sleep. You know, he just
Yeah. Like,
right foot, left foot. He's
See the
just,
goals he scored in the Bundesliga?
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
classy. You wouldn't even dream of him doing that.
And then,
like.
yeah, and then he doesn't play. That's when he goes off. you
Yeah.
know, it's just.
I don't think he was injured. I think he was just embarrassed.
Yeah,
Mm.
because I think they're
Well,
saying his injury's not as bad now. So
If he's embarrassed, he's going to have to grow a thicker skin than that.
Yeah.
Really?
true.
Because
Look at
it was a
Xerxes.
fantastic chance he had. But again, we had a fantastic cross came in from Brennan Johnson, and Richarlison decides to miss the ball completely as a centre forward. I don't know how you do that, but you lost the
Oh,
flight of the
God.
ball. You lost everything. I mean, normally your centre
Yeah.
forward has an inclination as to where the ball is going to be, but he just lost the flight of it completely. That was a great chance. That was in the first half as well. I don't know how he done it, but he did.
You should have kept Troy Part, an Irishman, in your team.
Well, Troy probably wouldn't have missed it. That's for sure. He might not have scored, but he wouldn't have missed
Well,
it.
sure, yeah, yeah. But yeah, he's doing well actually in Europe, isn't he?
Better not miss chances like that on Thursday night.
Yeah. We're going to Ireland, Portugal, so yeah, hopefully
Yep.
he gets a goal against Ronaldo. So,
Brazil's number
All
9.
right, guys.
huh?
yeah,
We'll wrap it up there for tonight, if that's all right. Like I
Yeah.
said, thank you for coming on. And listen, we'll definitely touch base with you in the future. We'd love to hear you. We're actually going to do with the international break next week. We're actually going to do our first live show. We're going to attempt it anyway next Monday night, and it's just going to be an open chat for anyone to come on and talk about their team and the Premier League season. So yeah, if you are about next week and you want to come on and
Great.
cause some controversy, I'd love a bit of controversy. I really do. I don't know what it is. Gags got me fired up earlier on, and he was saying we need to do these things straight after games so we're more animated. And that kind of fired me up. So yeah,
they need to be
Yeah,
X-rated,
that's-
but if it's straight
that
after the
could be
game.
a thing.
yeah. So
Well,
anyway,
listen,
that's
guys,
going to be on.
Listen,
We'll have
guys,
it.
just before I go, I would like to say thanks for inviting me on, and
Mm.
and for your own Man United fans, you know what to do. Subscribe to your pod, listen to you, and give you a good shout.
Well,
And if
sir,
you
thank you for
want
having
to
me
listen
too.
to
Okay, man.
podcast, go and join Harry Scarfe on Scarfe at Tottenham.
Go and join Harry.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you.
100%.
Great to speak with you,
Absolutely,
Scott.
boys. Well, look, no doubt we'll talk again soon. And you're very
Okay,
welcome
boys,
on
thanks
anytime.
very much.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
No worries. Good luck.
Cheers.
All right. So thank you to Scott and Harry there for coming back on, giving us their thoughts on Spurs. But let's forget about Spurs now and let's focus again on Manchester United. That's what we're really here to talk about. And I know, Killian, there, you want to talk a wee bit about Sesco. We
Yeah.
talked a wee bit about him last week. And yeah, what are your thoughts, sir,
Well,
on him this week?
if I can recall last week, can't really remember what I said about Sesco, but I think I was sort of talking last week about Sesco along the lines of, he's slowing down a bit, but he's young, he's came from the Bundesliga, he's settling in, I was willing to give him time, but the performance I seen in his sub cameo, even though it was cut short when he came off, he's played about 30 odd minutes maybe when he came off the bench against Spurs. And from the cameo he put in, I'm sorry, I mean, I don't care about, settling in. I expect even a player settling in to put a better display in than Sesco to put in. And I don't want to go full gung-ho and just completely turn on the shreds here, but I just wasn't impressed by him at all. I mean, link-up play, that's been a main focal point of his game as of recently. It just wasn't good enough against Spurs. And I suppose, the thing we've lacked over the past number of years is a proper number 9 who will score you goals, and that's what Sesco was supposed to be for us, at least in the long term, hopefully anyway. He's supposed to be a player who can put away chances, who can get us a good amount of goals every season, even if it's 15 goals a season. And maybe that's a bit early for us to get that from Sesco, but it's what we're working towards anyway. But I mean, just like, I don't know what it is with United, of course. Any striker we've seen the sign always struggles, and Sesco, he's beginning to show similar traits to what we've seen in last season from players like Rasmus Højlund, who, yes, I know you, for example, anyway, like you were a big defender of Rasmus Højlund, and you were saying, he wasn't getting the ball a lot. I thought at the back end of last season, second half of last season, Rasmus Højlund was getting the ball more than enough times, and he was getting more than enough chances to prove himself, and time again, he just messed up those chances and missed chance after chance. And I feel like that's what we're seeing with Benjamin Sesco now. I feel like he's starting to show those traits we've seen from Højlund last season, and it is worrying for me. Now, obviously, it's only November. There still is, we haven't even hit the halfway point yet this season. We're still a decent distance away from that, but I would like to see Sesco improve sooner rather than later, of course, because as I mentioned there when we were talking to the Spurs lads, we look at the highlight reel of him playing for RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga and the wide array of unbelievable goals he was scoring. And then meanwhile, when he's in a United jersey, would you even dream of him scoring those types of goals? No. Now I know Premier League, obviously, defences are a lot more, solid and it's harder to score those types of goals, much harder to score in the Premier League than it is in the Bundesliga. But still, it just shows you, just as soon as United sign a striker, they just don't seem to be capable of scoring a good amount of goals. So I'm a bit worried about him at the minute, of course, because even both the goals he has scored for United so far have been both very scrappy, but hopefully he can turn it around after the November international break, after he returns from Slovenia. So yeah, just a bit of concern obviously over him, but I'll remain backing him. I'll still back him, of course. A couple of those shots he definitely should have put away, in my opinion. I know one of the chances, Van de Ven had a fantastic recovery, and that prevented him from scoring that one. But one or two one-on-ones with Vicario definitely should have been a lot better. Positioning two could have been a lot better too. But then again, too, I suppose, it's not really all his fault. I think there was a couple decent moments there when he could have got the ball crossed in by Patrick Dorgy especially. And he's the big height too. So just dangle the ball in the air and see if he can jump for it. Why not? So I think the lack of, crosses putting in and the lack of aerial opportunities for him is definitely maybe not his fault either. But I mean, yeah, as I said, I'll keep backing him. I'll stick by him for the rest of the season. I do think he will come good. However, just at the current minute, I'm a bit concerned about the overall impact he has on the team going forward.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I would agree with some of the things you're saying there. I was thinking when I was watching the game, it was very much like Højlund, and it was very much like you're bringing a young player in, you're putting them in a situation where, you're asking them to score 10, 15 goals for Man United at this time when we're not producing an awful lot. You see the difference that Cunha and Buemo, players with Premier League experience. I definitely thought that he's an impressive player physically, and he seems to be fast. He has that strong, powerful run. He just seems to be off it. He's waiting too much, and I think Alan Shearer in Match of the Day was very critical of him. But he was saying he didn't think he had a clue of what he was going to do. He didn't seem to have awareness that Van der Ven was even there. Those are worrying signs. But I mean, I think. Listen, I think a young player coming to United, you have to start scoring goals straight away. Look at Rooney. Whenever Rooney came, like straight away, and you're talking here about this is Manchester United. This is, the spotlight's on you. You don't get time. I saw something. The United stand was actually talking. I think it must be a load of rubbish, but they were talking about the possibility of Rasmus coming back. Especially if Sesco's injured for a bit. Did you see that today?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's part of the deal.
No.
I think that's come a wee bit because Rasmus is starting to get a bit of flack by the Napoli fans. But I don't think that's an option. I think it's more of the Napoli link is more they're looking Menu. They're looking at another one of our players. In regards Sesco, there is what I thought about Rasmus. I didn't want him to go. I wanted Rasmus to stay. There's a school of thought why did we let Rasmus go? Spend 65 million on a player who's sort of similar in that he's young, he's untested. It probably would have been better to have Rasmus leading the line, only this time instead of the likes of Sancho and Garnacho and Rashford out wide, he would have had Mbumo and Cunha helping him. And I really believe Rasmus would have scored goals this year. And that money we used in Sesco could have been used in the midfield. But, my opinion on Sesco, look, it's done is done. Rasmus is in Italy. I don't think he's coming back. In fact, he's not coming back. Sesco's here. I think that what we need to do with Sesco, what Amorim needs to do with Sesco is he needs to start the next 10 games. I don't care if he scores or not. He needs to start because that player looks absolutely bereft of confidence. And there's a player there, you can see it, and he should be good enough for the Premier League because he's a big, strong fella. He's not like Furtz. Furtz is like being shrugged off the ball. I don't think he's that quick, but you're saying about him quick. He's very slow at turning. That's what he's like. He's like Harry Maguire up. He's like the Harry Maguire up front. He's a really slow turn. But look, he's a big physical guy. I think he needs to start the next 10 games, and I think he will come good. So I think that's what needs to be done.
You want to say
Yeah,
something?
well, I mean, you already know Shesh's quality when you have Barcelona responding to us signing him in the summer, feeling sorry to see Shesh go because he was their long-term plan as being a Lewandowski replacement. But I mean, I do agree with you. I think he deserves a run of games in the team, and I think if there's any way for him to improve, get goals, get confidence, that's the way to do it. However, what I was going to say is, if we're sitting here in 2 months' time, the January transfer window's open, and Shesh was still is sort of in a similar enough position. I'm obviously not saying loan him out or anything, but I think United, we need a number 9 who can score goals. Because I'm sorry, ever since we let Ronaldo and Cavani both go, we've had Wout Weghorst, Rasmus Højlund, Joshua Zirkzee, and now Benjamin Sesko, and none of those players have proven to be top goal scorers. So, in my opinion, I think if a good run of games doesn't get Sesko confidence, I think a bit of good competition would. So in January, I think if Sesko just is still sort of in a struggling position as he is right now, I would honestly go out, try sign someone like Danny Welbeck, because he is a player who can score goals in the Premier League. I don't think he'd mind coming back to United, obviously, with the previous links there. I think he's a quality striker. He would score goals when he plays too, and ultimately, I think he would definitely teach Sesco a lot of things because he's very well experienced with the league too. He would score goals too, and ultimately put the pressure on. And in my opinion, that would ultimately, in the long term, get the best out of Sesco and turn him into the world class striker he can be.
What about if I was to say to you, Ivan Toney for 6 months?
That definitely, again, I would agree with that. Obviously, he's
Yeah.
been out in Saudi Arabia for a few months,
I'll
for
tell
a
you
few
what,
years. However,
Ivan 26 months coming off the World Cup, maybe put a wee bit of pressure on Tuchel.
definitely, yeah. Ivan Toney, I mean, he's been out in Saudi the past few years, but I still think he can do it in the Premier League. He still is a quality goal scorer. I think, if a club like United comes knocking in the door for a return to the Premier League, Ivan Toney definitely would say yes. So, Tony, Welbeck, whoever, if we can get a striker who can score goals, put the pressure on Sesco, and get us scoring goals again properly, left, right, and centre in the Premier League, I'm definitely all for that. I think that would be a perfect move if Sesco continues to struggle.
Yeah, okay, so we kind of moved in. We wanted to finish off tonight with we've obviously got the international breakdown. We wanted to talk about, have a kind of a reflection. I kind of was thinking there today about the time between the previous international, which was the start of October or was the start of September?
October.
You know, I was looking at where were we in the league table at that stage? Have we progressed, and what could we do now to move forward, and so come the next international break we'll continue to move forward. I think we have moved forward. I think obviously like 5 games unbeaten is great. I am definitely glass half full here. I was reading some of Amorim's post game comments on it, and he's still very much putting out the fact that this is a he's not kind of saying, oh, we're flying and stuff like that there, which I quite like. He's saying that we're still very much a work in progress, and as much as we can pick things apart and we can say, yeah, there's this player and that player and stuff like that there, at the end of the day, some of the things I'm happy about, we had I think it was -2 goal difference. We're now +1, +2. We're in the plus. That's a big factor for me. I hate seeing Man United in negative goal difference, and we've moved up the table. We kind of, I don't know. I think there's enough there to give me confidence. You're talking about the transfer in January now. I think there's a lot of football to be had between now and then. I still wonder about Manu and what's going on there. I know he wasn't on the bench there. He was picked up an injury, but there's still something in me. There's just trying to think. There's a player there. We saw a player there. What is going on? Like the last was the World Cup or the Euros that Manu was playing for England and he was
Euros.
flying.
I know he was starting in the Euros final against Spain, sure. And he was a stalwart player there in the starting team, and just all of a sudden, Amorim just somehow doesn't like him, and he's all of a sudden just a forgotten player. And it's sad to see, but there's not much more you can do. And it's not like Manu's putting in the performances to prove as the way Amorim should be playing him either. I think Manu has to take some responsibility and blame too, because his performances ever since that Euros have been very substandard too. So I think it's a mix sort of Amorim, really demotivating Manu and Manu not proven as the way he should be playing more. So I think both sort of factors in this argument are to blame for that. But yeah, it's sad to see Manu fall off a cliff massively, and it doesn't look like he's going to be returning to the heights he has hit already in his career anytime soon.
Yeah, well, I think going forward, Manu is a concern. I know I talked there about Sesco needing like a run of games, 10 games to start, no matter what. He needs to be the number one. The other thing I would say that I'm kind of sick of in our starting 11 is I'm sick of Bruno in the middle. We need that. We're not controlling games. So Casemiro has had a good season, I think, and I know this mightn't go down too well, but again, I think Casemiro needs to be partnered with Ugarte for the next 10 games. Bruno can be as a calm number 10, whatever. Sesco up front, and then it's basically Mbumo. He starts every game. Cunha and Bruno can fight for that place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that's not going to happen because Bruno is a bit of a protected species, but Bruno is not a centre midfielder, and we are being punished because of that big time against teams. I feel if we have Casemiro and Ugarte, let Casemiro teach Ugarte become better. Casemiro is one of the best central CDMs out there, and I know he's getting a wee bit older. He's having a good season. Ugarte is struggling, a bit like Sesco. He's no confidence, but there is a player there as well, and I think he needs to start. We need to shore up that midfield. So if you've got Casemiro and Ugarte, let Bruno do more of his good stuff, a bit more forward offensively. So that's what I think it needs to happen.
Yeah, I think especially like that's a good idea in general, but I think this is an especially good idea of how we move forward and how we combat the lingering issue, which is coming up in the next 6 to 8 weeks of AFCON. With Mbeumo and Ahmad, who've arguably been the two best players this season, they'll both be going to AFCON for a couple of weeks. But I think that's a good idea there. Casemiro alongside probably Garda, although I mean it wouldn't be against the Menu partner Casemiro.
Yeah, well, I
too,
thought that, but I don't think Menu's defensive enough.
Yeah,
I just want us to be. I want like a brick wall in that middle of the park. And do you know that? And do you know something? When if Mbeumo was away for a month, then it can be Cunha and Bruno with Sesco up front.
Yeah, I think that definitely is. I think it's smarter to do. I think it's smarter to have Bruno as a 10 than Ahmad as a 10, because I know Ahmad as a 10 can also play pretty good, and he was pretty good again against Spurs in that position. But I think Ahmad's still going to do well at the wing back position. There's a 10 space open. It has to be Bruno, and that was my main worry coming into this season, because I knew the way things were going was I knew we weren't going to prioritise a midfielder, and I knew we were going to end up having Bruno Fernandes in the pivot, and I seen the warning signs in the summer. I knew that wasn't going to work out. However, I was sort of thinking of more attack. I was sort of more attack minded there, so I sort of left as an afterthought, even though I knew. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. I thought Bruno's performances might have, dipped a wee bit. However, I thought, for bringing in big attackers like Cunha and Mbeumo, it definitely would still, work out in the long term and for the greater good too.
It reminds me actually of something I think I put into our United group chat during the game near the end, maybe about 15-20 minutes ago, and I was given off about Bruno, but the not so much about his performance, but his attitude, and it's like I think I put in he's no captain. In my opinion, the way he hit the ball straight out and he blamed I don't know who it was Dorgu or somebody.
Yeah,
he blamed somebody else, and it was his fault. He kicked it straight out, but straight away he was blaming other players. And see, to be quite honest, I think things have to change, and I would I'm not saying he's going to be a captain for the season, but to me somebody like De Ligt's a better captain. De Ligt was the captain of Ajax when he was 18. The man is a leader.
I think it's time De Ligt gets the armband. He's had a season to settle in. He's just excelling this season too. I think he's more than ready to be captain.
100%. The other thing I would say about Ahmad is, and I actually think in Amorim's system, if it's the way he actually gets to play a system properly, which will help if you've got two good CDMs almost, is Ahmad as a wing back, put him on the left. He's left-footed. He's always on the right. Put inverted stuff. Yeah. Put him on the left. Put Ahmad on the left. Put Masrari on the right. And then in defence, then De Ligt in the middle. Luke Shaw's playing decent. Keep him at the left. And then I put Lenny Yoro, the youth. And then I'm a big fan of Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire come on the last 20 minutes. Because he always make that centre.
It doesn't make much difference because Ahmad, he'd be good at either end. But I mean, I was just sort of thinking maybe of more natural left wing backs, more natural right wing backs, and I was sort of trying to think, based on which position was better naturally for us, which say would Ahmad be better on. But just thinking about it, like the rest of our fullbacks aren't that good. Mazraoui's had a poor season. Dallo, I've never been a fan of Dallo. Dorgu is still pretty poor too. So I mean, it doesn't really matter which side you have Ahmad on, because the other side is going to be a lot poorer, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think Masrari will come good. I think he missed the start of the season.
Yeah,
I think he probably will come good. And if you have him on the right and you have Ahmad on the left, then there's no Dallo, so a load of United fans will be happy, and there's no Dorgu, and a lot of United fans will be happy. So everyone's a winner. But the one thing I will say is Lemans, again, a great game.
Yeah,
I thought he was very good.
Yeah, he was.
Distribution maybe wasn't as good. I mean, as I was seeing in your stat there about accurate passers, he was bottom there. I did notice during the match his distribution was poor, but I mean, obviously, he had two big saves still. People can say they were hit straight at him, but they were point blank at the end of the day.
They were good saves.
So, both the goals too had sort of deflections as well, so I wouldn't really blame him for either one of those.
I definitely think he had an impact for the equalising goal.
Oh yeah,
well.
I think it was a good call. Yeah,
being up there, and he's a big. Do you know what I'd love to know is like sometimes you see goalies and they're maybe going up and they're waiting for the coach. I wonder. I'd love to know, did Amorim said to him go up, or
I say he would have.
or did he decide himself? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
but I like that.
But I think Laman scored as a goalkeeper in when he was about
That's what you said.
17
I think he was a
or so.
forward. I think he was.
No.
Yeah,
He scored as a keeper.
Yeah, but I think he used to play when he was younger. Or something.
Yeah, but he was playing. I think he was only 17. Because when we got him, it showed it, and
Yeah,
it was
I remember.
I think they won the game or something. It was an important game,
Yeah.
and he came up and scored a header.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
no, I like it.
Reminded me of Peter Schmeichel used to do that back in the day, like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought he had a great game, and I'm not worried about him being a great ball passing goalie. I just need my goalie to catch the ball and save it.
Yeah,
That's the main thing, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, but right, okay. So listen, guys. I think we'll. Is there anything else you want to talk about there?
No.
covered everything there.
I think ultimately, despite everything we've said and maybe a bit of negativity, the fact is the team went back up the pitch and got that equaliser.
Yeah.
So we kept our unbeaten run going. So I mean, there's definitely improvement there.
Good resilience there too. I mean,
time.
this time last year, would we have done that? Very unlikely.
Yeah.
And the same we said for the Forest game too. So we are showing resilience still, even if we're not performing as good. So
And
it
hopefully,
definitely show the team is coming on.
hopefully the next 4 or 5 games are winnable.
No big 6 games until 17th of January. 17th of January for the derby, Manchester derby at Old Trafford. So I mean, there still is tricky games in there. Newcastle, I know Newcastle haven't been great this year, but there's still Newcastle, Palace away. You know, those sorts of teams there. We're hosting Bournemouth as well. So there's still tough teams you have to play this season. Maybe even Villa in the mix there too. So I mean, even though we're not playing the big 6 teams for about 2 months now, it still isn't an easy run of fixtures whatsoever. And especially when you're getting into Christmas time too, and it's just such a congested time for fixtures as well. So it's not going to be easy, but I would like to think we could string together a decent run of form, good couple of wins here and there, and by the time we roll around to that derby, we are in a fantastic position still in 2026 in the league table.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I was actually invited onto a Spurs podcast there on Wednesday night, and one of the things I was saying is I just need to see improvement from United this year. I see us at the right end of the table, and we're not far behind second. You know, we've won the game the other day. We just need to be there or thereabouts, and it keeps it exciting because you don't know what happens. Like, you get catch fire, and you know, I don't think we're ready to say the second half of the season we're going to do a title charge and anything like that.
Right.
But listen, I'm happy for now. I'm excited again about you know, at the moment I just want wins. I just want keep going, keep momentum. Like you said, we are showing resilience. We are, yes, there's a lot of, but again, what Amorim's saying, I just brought up his quote there, and he says, we have a lot of problems. We are just in the beginning. I know that sometimes the results show to people that we are improving, but we have a lot to do. And I think that's fair enough. You know, that's, you know, he has to get results. He had to start getting points. He's doing that. He's given himself a chance to make a difference, and long may it continue. So, you know, let's finish on that tonight, I think. Yeah, they are. So like I said, next week, if you're watching this, we're going to we'll put it out in our podcast. We're going to get it all, see what we can organise for next Monday night, and see if we can get a live show, first ever live show, and get lots of fans on from different teams. Hopefully we'll get a bit of passion going, a bit of arguments. I'd love to have an argument going on in this. What do you think? Do you fancy an argument?
I'll see how I'm feeling.
I think, Gags, you fancy an argument there?
Yeah, go on.
Maybe get Scott on.
Get a Liverpool fan on.
Yeah, something like that there. Maybe see what we can do there. I'm sure we can organise something. But anyway, listen, if you're watching this here, if you've got this far, thank you very much. Please do like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 50 subscribers.
And comment. Lots of comments.
Yeah. We're at 34. Like, we're getting plenty of people watching these videos, but only 34 have subscribed to it so far. So if you're watching this and you're one of those people who hasn't subscribed, please do. And just want to give a shout out as well. Like I said, I was on that Spurs channel the other night, and one of the guys that was on it, season ticket holder at Spurs, and I asked him if he could send us a couple of videos just to get the atmosphere. So I'm going to add them in at the end of this podcast. So appreciate that. And yeah, so international break, but we're going to be back next Monday night live from the studio. And thank you very much, guys.
No worries.
And come on,
Cheers.
you Red Devils.
Come on, United.
Hooah.